So welcome everybody to our Divi Toronto meetup. This month we are speaking with Nelson Miller, who will be introducing himself shortly. We are exploring dynamic content this evening, talking about custom post types, taxonomies, and custom fields. My name is Susie, and I am your host for the evening. So I'm just right away going to turn it right over to Nelson, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Hey everyone, happy to be here. This is, first of all, outside of my comfort zone. I would much rather be behind a screen where I can edit my videos. But anyway, it's good to be here. And we're gonna just we're gonna be all over the place because when we say dynamic content, it involves a lot of different things. Like she already mentioned, custom fields, taxonomies, linking, related posts, custom, advanced custom fields, like was mentioned, lots of things. And I'm going to show you an example website, not right away, but maybe just in a little bit. A website that we made as our family, and it all kind of comes full circle. I just checked. These were mentioning when you started using Divi. I know I installed version 2.7. And that was my first introduction to that. And I just checked, that was March of 2016. So it's not like I can't say that I've been one of those that was here since the beginning, but I remember when I got 2.7, there were rumors of the 3.0 visual builder. And that was what made me stay, because I knew the visual builder was coming and it was going to be the first of its kind. So anyway, yeah. Now, introduction. Well, I was going to say the reason I got into Divi was because I was building websites for local businesses that I worked at. And I knew I wanted to do that for a living. So I just kept doing it. And then I wanted to build a website, and I didn't really have a very clear idea, but it was going to be about what I like to do. Well, what I'd like to do was going out and exploring, like hiking, camping, that kind of thing around my home state here in Pennsylvania. I live near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And so I started like an Instagram, and I was a photographer, and I called it PA Creative because in Pennsylvania, we say we're from PA, because for some reason we use the acronym for our like mailing address, right? If you wrote a letter here, you would write PA instead of Pennsylvania. We're the only state that I know of that just says, hey, I'm from PA. Like Maryland is just south of us, and you would never say I'm from MD. Like that wouldn't even make sense. But for Pennsylvania, we are the one exception in the whole country that I know of. So the name is where that comes from. PA Creative is where you can see all my free tutorials and freebies and things like that. So the reason I say it comes full circle is because PA Creative did not remain what I thought it was going to be. It didn't remain just about my family. In fact, I wasn't even married at the time. I got married in October of 17. And so my wife and I started exploring and started doing websites together. And it became more about the websites than exploring. And eventually it became just about the websites and Divi and not about exploring. So we went and built a new website just for our exploration. And I am going to use that as our like crazy use case and show you some things that you probably, I guarantee you that you have never seen with dynamic content. And I can guarantee that because some of it is very custom. But I will show you that as a use case. It's not done at all. But anyway, that's my full circle story, how now I'm focused on Divi. Dynamic content. I looked at the definition that Susie had there, and it made me think when I read that. I don't even have it up here, but I will get it, maybe. I told her I was not prepared. See, this is me not being prepared. If you have that definition, read that. It was on the meetup.
Oh, I do. Okay. Dynamic content refers to web content that changes based on data, user behavior, and preferences.
Yeah. And that's what made me think, because I was like, oh, user data and preferences, I didn't consider. I was thinking more of just like, I'm thinking like dynamic content is when you want to show the post title and it's linked to the WordPress post title and it's just automatic. But when you said user preferences, it made me think, I was like, oh, actually, we're not talking about that, but that would be interesting. We may talk about that in the future. I have some things in the works for that, user preferences, but it's complicated. But we're going to talk mostly about just like automating things on our website, using conditions, using templates, and making it all work without you touching it after you set it up. So let's just dive in. I should probably just do a screen recording. I think that would be, or yes, whatever you call it, sharing the screen. I'll probably do that and just open up Divi. Let me go ahead. If you have questions along the way, I may or may not see it, but just shout at me or something, and then we'll look at them. But share screen. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. All right. All right. Do you see one of the Divi templates there?
Yep, we're looking at Divi Seafood Restaurant.
Yeah, okay. So it's just one of the templates. So I just randomly have that on here. So in Divi, let's just start at the very, very basics. If I have a text module, and in fact, I do have that responsive helper installed here. That is making it. Something is making my computer slow right now. Okay, so text module. Here is a text module. So in every module in Divi that has a text area, that could be the blurb, a call to action, a testimonial, those kind of modules that have a text area like this, there is a little dynamic content icon. So if you're not familiar with that, just play around with it. You can click it and see lots of options. Now, these options are going to change depending on where you're at on your website. So right now I'm on a regular page. So notice that some of these options start with the word page because I'm on a page. So like the page or archive title, that's going to insert, if I were to click this, it's going to insert this page title. And you would see it in place of any text. So you notice that the field goes away. All right, I can remove that and get it back. I don't know if this page is slow or if I'm going to start a new page if it doesn't hurry. Yeah, it's telling me it's unresponsive. Huh. Okay. That's not good. All right. So other options like the excerpt of the page when it was published. So if you were wanting to make a blog post and you wanted people to know when it was published, that would be a good idea. The comment count, page link, the site title, these are all things that are pulling the data from another place. Now, in this case, like the page title would be pulling it from its own page, but it's still, if you think about it, it's putting it onto the front end of your website from the database. So that's what dynamic content is doing. It's taking something that's in your WordPress database and displaying it on the front end. So that's a really basic example with the page title, but it is also a good example because the page title is in the database and you want visitors to know that page title. So you use dynamic content. You could have just written it in a text module. The advantage here is now if I go to the back end and change this page name to something totally different, or maybe, yeah, if I had a link to this page and I was using a link with dynamic content, those are advantages because now we'll automatically update. So I could change the page and this will update. All right, these are really basic ones. Sometimes you will see additional sections here. Now these are because of plugins I have installed. So you may not see some of these, but custom fields, you're going to see all kind of stuff on mine here because I use this site as a staging area for some of my products that are related to dynamic content, but add extra options here. So if you don't see these, don't worry too much. If I was going, the best use case for dynamic content, let me just show you that, would be to make a theme builder template. So Like, let's say you have a blog. That's really, really the most basic example. Plus, it ties everything together. So think about, we talked about some things we were going to mention. Post types. Well, blog posts are a post type. So you have to have a post type. And you may even have categories, so taxonomies of that post type. So it's interesting how it's hard to talk about dynamic content without these things. So right away, I'm talking about a post type, posts. So I would come in here. If you don't know how to use the theme builder, I guess that's a whole nother topic, but I already have a template added here. I could just start here and say add custom body. I have this assigned to all my blog posts. So any blog post is going to see whatever I build right here. And it's going to be dynamic because I'm only going to build that blog post once. And I'm not going to show you much about this because this is like its own topic, but I'm going to show you just the very basics. So I would add a row, and that's, I mean, I could add a text module and do what I was showing you earlier. In fact, it would be a good idea to say, see, now it's saying post instead of page because now I'm on a post. So let's just put the title in there. A little trick. Why don't I show you a trick while I'm at it? To make this an H1, write some HTML in this before and after. Now that post title is an H1, heading 1, because I added before and after HTML. Now when I design it, I could go in here to heading text, say bold, right? All right, so there you go. Now you know how to use dynamic content at its most basic form. What else is in here? Is that another text module? And we could add an image too. So an excerpt. So I doubt this post has an excerpt, but if it did, there you go. Maybe the publish date. With the publish date, you can choose the format, and you could say something like this, published on, and then whatever you want to write, that would come before the date. See that? Okay. And one more basic one would be, oops, I'm adding a row, adding an image. So an image can have the same effect where you have the option here in the corner. And then I could choose the site logo. Again, that's coming from the database, but I want to choose the featured image because that will show for each blog post. There you go. Now this title, this image, and this date are going to show based on, let's get out of this page since that page does not like me. So if I actually go to my blog post, all posts here, pretty simple, but any of these will work. Here's my title, and I can put my featured image right here and the date when I publish it. Okay, so now you know how the basics. Now let's move on from the basics. Let's see what I have in my notes. Not very much. Icon, default option. Oh yeah, WooCommerce gives you a whole ton of options if you're not familiar with that. But if you install WooCommerce, you can build your own product page like that. It really should work for every post type, but it doesn't. Well, it works for most. So one of the things that it didn't work for was the events calendar. And that's why I got into that, because it wasn't, you couldn't use dynamic content to show like the start and end date of the event and all that. So I had to make my whole own system. But for the most part, it will work with your post types that you have. And then, yeah, you can set those up. Now, every time I publish a blog post, it's dynamic. Okay. So there is one other related feature that Divi introduced a year or two ago called conditions. And when they released this, I literally took my theme builder templates on my PA Creative website. I probably had 30, if not even like 50 templates. Believe seriously, like just templates for things on our website. When they released conditions, it went down to like a dozen. The reason I say that is because let's say, yeah, I don't know how to explain that best. you could have one template here for blog posts, but inside the template, you can have a condition that something inside this template is dynamic in the sense that it will only show based on a condition. So it is dynamic content. It's just not called that, but it's very much dynamic content. I mean, we could make a really dumb example, but let's go in here to the post title, advanced tab. It's always in the advanced tab, conditions. So I could say display conditions, add condition. And then you pick a condition. So like, what's a condition? So if the category is one thing or another, I could choose category is. Well, if it's category A, all right, then it's always going to be, so wait, sorry. If yeah, display only if post category is or is not category A. And so it's if I'm on category B, if I'm viewing a blog post that is assigned to category B, you won't see the title. Now, obviously you wouldn't do that, but think of like, hopefully this can like open up your mind to some things you could do. Maybe you want to have a message that shows just for people that are viewing category B, or maybe like you even want to like, it's almost like personalizing it a little bit. And there's a whole range of things you could do. And I do that on our website with, I make one template for our documentation for products. And then whichever product you're viewing, you see info about that product rather than the other one based on the category. So conditions can be super helpful. Now, there are also conditions that relate to custom fields. See, that's our segue into custom fields, isn't it? Let's see if I have that linked here. All right, so I do have a, if you need it, I have a blog post about just the conditions feature. So I won't go on any more about that. Let's see. See if I can. Anyway, I'm very illiterate at video conferencing. I can't even find my chat box. Oh well, we just won't do it. So here's a blog post. I was going to share the link. Here's
what I'll say, Nelson, is when if you send me the links after, I will be doing a follow-up email, and I will be sure to include the links that you talk about today.
I think I found it.
Perfect.
Yeah, good idea. So there's that one, and then I only have this one other one, and this one is a dandy one. The second one I'm sharing there. So the reason that this one is so cool is because now you can conditionally show or hide things based on a custom field value. And I encourage you to go check out this video because it's really cool what you can do. Like here, what would be a good example? I can make an example. Let's say, well, here's an example. Let's say I set up a blurb module to show like the author information. So right here, this is a blurb, okay? So in the title, I want that to be, see here it says author bio. I don't want author bio. I want, what else do I want? Like author name. Where's author name? Post author. Okay, I would have said author name, but post author. Great. Now in the body area, I want the author bio. And then in the image, got to delete it. And then the icon pops up. I want the author profile picture. All right, so that's pretty cool because now we are showing that on this blog post. Now, what if, here's just, hopefully this works as an example. What if you had a blog post where you did not want the author to show? If you had this in here, in your template, and you did not have an author assigned, or you had someone that you didn't want to show, it's going to show this anyway. Now, what you could do to make it conditional is to check this tutorial. Where it would start. Talks about how you use a custom field to manually display if. So this one, I guess, is mostly about custom fields. But let's see if we can do this on the spot. If I set a condition, so like here, the condition, remember, you have to choose a condition. So I'm going to say author is, or I could say is not. So if it is not Nelson, then it will display. All right, I know that can be confusing too. But think about that, the power of, I mean, this is dynamic content. Again, it's not, they're not calling it that, but it's conditioned. So let's say I want to only display this if it's me. So any other author, it won't display this. That's power, because now I can view the actual blog post. And if I view it, if Susie wrote an article on my blog, I won't see her bio. But if I wrote the article, you'll see my bio. And it's there in the template, but it's dynamic, you know? I mean, I'm using the word dynamic content to refer to all of these things. All right, let's move on from conditions. Well, we talked about custom fields slightly. Custom fields are related because, let's see, how can we? Custom fields allow you to add more options. So notice the options are limited to the Divi built-in. The data that's in the database is these things, right? But if you use custom fields, you're essentially adding more data to the database and making that data available to then display. So a custom field, like you can do it just in WordPress, which is kind of clunky. I would use like advanced custom fields or similar plugins. It allows you, or even a different person, to come along and type in or fill in the fields, and then they will become options here to choose. Let's go ahead. So I have advanced custom fields installed. I'll go to my menu in the back, advanced custom fields. And then you will need to set up what's called a field group. It's just a collection of fields. And then let's see, I think I have this one. All right, so in a field group, you'll have this button that says add field. So you can add whatever fields you want there. There's lots of options. This is in advanced custom fields. So I could choose the type of field. Do I want it to just be a text? Do I want it to be a text area? It's almost like a form in a way. Do I want it to be a number, a range, maybe a URL? How about an image? Like if you want your client to change the image, but you don't want to be contacted to do it because they can do it, but you don't want them to mess up the front end of their website either. So you can put an image field in here and tell them where to go to change that image, right? So let's say I add this image field, and for whatever we're going to call that, let's call it image A because I'm not feeling very creative. Now I'm going to save that. I'm going to go to wherever these fields are applied. They're applied to that page. So your client, for example, or you, but if you wanted your client to do something without messing up the visual builder, you could add custom fields. Notice these are actually just custom fields. Here we're testing a video. Here there's some numbers. Here's an email address. Here's an O embed for a video. But let's see, image, right? Here's the field, image A, that I just added, okay? Now let's say either this is you, oops, or your client. And they have this field here. They say, okay, I'm gonna add an image. All right. So we can add this bulldozer. All right, great. So now the image is, you might say it's in the database, but it's not being displayed on the front end at all. So we need to display that. And you could use the same approach to like videos and text and numbers and audio, code even. So now I'm going to add an image module. I'm going to go to the front end. I like working on the front end. Now we need to show that image, right? Because now it's not dynamic yet because it's just there. So we're on the same page as the custom fields are assigned to. And I have all kinds of test data here. You're getting a behind the scenes view of my life when I'm testing plugins and things. Okay. All right. So I'm going to add an image. Now, the other option I showed you was like a featured image, and that's fine, but that's again, that's one of the data points that are in Divi. But now we have a custom field. So here you can see custom fields. Now we got to look down through here to try to find that image A. Let's see, where is that thing? I think I'm really bad at finding things under
It's
pressure.
at the very bottom. Keep going.
Keep going. Okay. Oh, you're right here. Okay, so we just connected dynamic content in the image module to a custom field. So now that's your intro to custom fields as it relates to dynamic content. You can't have, yeah, you could have custom fields. You can have dynamic content without custom fields, but you can't have custom fields without dynamic content. I think I'm right on that, because how would you display the custom fields? There would be no point. In Divi, you can use this dynamic content to now display that. There you go. So that was custom fields. Links, okay, links is another good one to cover quickly here. Well, I think a good way to do a link would be with a button, right? Let's add a button module. Now, you could always, add a link with pasting the URL. Like if you know the URL of the page, you could paste it here, right here. The advantage of using dynamic content is that if that slug of that page changes, it will update automatically. So it's right here, button link URL. I'm going to click the dynamic content icon. And now I'm going to get anything that would be relevant to that. So here's current page link. Well, that would be silly because I'm already on that page. Author page link, home page link, post link. All right, so then you can see that this isn't helpful because I need to find an actual post. Let's say I wanted to find that blog post and link to that one. So I would first choose post link. It's not going to give me a list of all of them right here on this screen. I first have to like narrow it down by like the type. So I know that I want to do a post. And if you were going to do like a WooCommerce product, you would click this. A different page, you would click that, and then, but I'm going to do post. So then it opens up the next screen to actually choose the specific post. I don't even know. I think it was this one. All right, so I'm choosing it, all right, and I can search and see a list of all my posts on the site. And now I am confirming it. Great. Now when I view this page and I click this button, it's going to go to that blog post. And like I said, even if you change the link, it doesn't matter. If I go to that blog post and completely change the title and the slug, it's going to still go to that when I click this button. So that's a pretty major advantage. One thing I wish Divi had related to that, I wish you could do that in just text. I have been considering it, adding it to our plugin, the Divi Dynamic Helper, but every time I consider it, I'm afraid they're going to release it. So like if I want to make text in this paragraph dynamic, I can click a link and type in the URL, right? But there would be no way to do what I just did in like this link field, right? And that's regrettable. Hopefully in the future that's an option. That would be really cool. Maybe I'll explore that. Okay, so links. We talked about dynamic content in general, the theme builder a little bit, conditions, custom fields, links, modules. Okay, so modules, what I was referring to with having that in there. Okay, here's a good. I'm going to do one more theme builder template. Let's see, category pages. I already apparently have it here, but I'll open it up. So now when I view like category A of my blog posts, I will see all the blog posts that are in that category. But how do you do that? First of all, you have to set up an actual blog module, right? So in the category template, add your blog module. And then this option at the very top of the module, it should just be called dynamic content. I wish they would update that, but it's called posts for current page. And I know that that kind of works, but think of it as just saying dynamic content. So if you have this off, it's going to just show your latest posts, right? Someone's going to go to this category page and they'll just see random posts and they'll be confused. But if you turn this on, post for current page, it essentially means only show blog posts that are in category A while you're viewing category A, right? And that's it. So now I've added the blog module, saved my template. And again, I have my template here added. So I guess I should try to find that. I'll just go to categories. I did not save my changes. All right, we'll try it anyway. See if I did. There you go. So these two posts, notice they say category A. Say post 1 and post 2. They're showing because I'm viewing this category. So that's dynamic content. In the blog module, you could do the same thing with, let's say, the Woo products module. If you had WooCommerce and you wanted to show a category page that had products in a certain category, you could do it with other post types as well in the module. So that's the main thing I was thinking of with modules. Yeah, post types, taxonomies, and I'll say a little bit about relationships. So not yet though. Post types and taxonomies are all related. I already kind of talked about that. A category is a taxonomy. It's a way of like organizing a post type. So probably now I covered the very basics of dynamic content in Divi. Tell me if I missed anything that is related to dynamic content, or if you have a question, and then I'll show you my example website.
Anyone have a question they want to shout out loud or type in the chat? No, I think you're good.
All right, so let's see. I think I should probably. Okay, so obviously I can't. This is not about pitching products, but I will give you an insider tip on a free product that nobody even knows about. You may know about it on our blog. You may know that it exists, but you don't know what it does yet because I did not announce what it does. So let's say you get to our blog. It's the custom blog module that I have. Some of you may be familiar with that. It's a modified blog module that has extra features in it. See if I can even find my own post. Let's see, custom fields. No. Oh boy. I'm going to type in free. There we go. All right, here's, in fact, here, let me just go to my freebies. That would have been a better thing. Freebies on my blog, you can click on the Divi freebies category. And let's see. So I have various free resources here. I even have a taxonomy and post type generator. I have image captions. What I'm looking for is the blog module. Where is that, Rascal? Oh, it's this one. I don't have it worded the best. Show custom post types by taxonomy. Okay. I need to redo this because this freebie here has a lot of features that people don't know. And some are pretty interesting and some won't apply to you, but that's okay. Basically now you can choose the post type and then the taxonomy. Whereas in the regular blog module, you can't do that. You only can choose you can't choose like these categories. Like if you had another post type and whatever it was custom, you may want to show posts in it by a certain category. Now, if it was a regular blog post in Divi, you can do that fine in the blog module, but you can't do it for custom post types. That's where this comes in. All right. Okay, so it's one of those things you gotta subscribe and get, but it's pretty cool. I am using this on the family website I talked about, so that's why I'm bringing it up now. It will have a lot of features that I'll talk about as I go through the example. And I might as well just show you what else I will be using real quick. And this is not supposed to be a plug, and because these are very specific things. Like not even everyone would need this. So I have a plugin called Divi Dynamic Helper, and it basically is called Helper because it helps. Like there's missing things in Divi that I wish it had, like videos. Remember I showed you a custom fields and then the image module. You can't do that with the video module or audio or code or the map, things like that in Divi. So our plugin adds that option. Things like that, okay? And then a taxonomy helper it helps with taxonomies, which seems like such an odd thing, and it is. I will be using these on this example website. So I'm just giving you that heads up. Some of this, what I show you, is not possible by default. So let's get out of all my stuff I don't need. I'm just going to clear out of everything. All right, here we go. Miller Family Adventure. Now, this is a complete work in progress. It is slapped together very quickly. It needs a lot of work, but okay. So it's millerfamilyadventure.com. And on this website, what we basically do is we made a post type about places. So that's the custom post type, places. In fact, I could show you that. Why not? And then inside that post type, we have a lot of taxonomy. So look, places here. In fact, Advanced Custom Fields now does post types and taxonomies, which is really cool. So places is actually made in here. And then these are fields in it, field groups in my post type. So see, we have actual post types now. Hey, where'd that go? There we go. So here, here's the name of my post type that I made. And then here's all the options about it. And then the taxonomies, I have 4 or 5 of them. Categories for places, highlights for places, road trips for places, and states. So as me and my wife travel around, do little road trips, anniversary trips, and camping trips and whatever, we add a place for each place. That's at least interesting. Not every place would qualify as interesting, but a waterfall, an overlook, a campground, things like that. And then we categorize them with these categories. Then we need to display them, right? Because, this is the database. We're putting the information into the database with the custom fields, with the custom post types, with the taxonomies, okay? Dynamic content is now getting that onto the front end. So that's kind of the key here. So you can see them under even my menu there. Places, I have all places, add new, categories, highlights, road trips, states. Okay. And then in each of these, as we see the fit, to do it, we'll add a new category. So like here, attractions, overlooks, parks, waterfalls as categories. Highlights are things like biking, creek, gorge, overlook, things that are about that place. Road trips are basically just groups of places. So you may want to go to Ithaca, New York, and we have a bunch of places related to that. And then states. So we don't have Canada, so I'm sorry we don't have Toronto on there yet. Maybe someday we'll have countries, but we have states: Alaska, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia. Okay, so that's obvious. We have all the data in here. Now let's take a look at it. So if I'm on the front end, I can click on explore places. Now I can actually view that stuff. So if I click on view all, this page is going to have some crazy stuff. First of all, there's going to be a map of places. And now I can browse by state, and it's going to list how many places are in that state that we have. So Pennsylvania has 60, West Virginia has 8, that kind of thing. New York has 10. So I could click and say explore state, and I'll just show you that. Now I'll go to New York and, oh, that was weird. Okay. So now I'm in New York. Now here's all the places in New York. All right. So now I could click on one of these places. Now I'm on a page that's full of dynamic content. I mean, literally this page is full of dynamic content. Think of this as like that blog post we were building, but it's for this place. It's for this custom post. In fact, let's just look at it. Here's the categories. So it's in the waterfall category. That's showing that's actually using a text module, believe it or not. And I'll show you that. That's a cool trick in Divi. Here's the title. That's pulling it in automatically. Here's the description, pulling it in from the back end. Any category or highlight, let's call them tags, highlights are showing here. Oh, it's in the waterfall category, it's in the New York State, and it's in the Ithaca road trip. So those are showing. Here is a gallery. So here's images. I could open the gallery and look at the images. Here's our review, our rating for me and my wife. And here's how you get there. Every bit of this is dynamic, all of it. Oh, and here's nearby places. Now this is a whole nother level of dynamic content, showing nearby places. And that is in that custom blog module that is free on our blog. Now, no one knows about that except you. But it's going to show nearby places based on the map, like where this current place is at. So wherever the current one I'm viewing, it's going to show me like the 6 nearest ones that I could drive to or walk to. So that is cool, I think. Now, while we're here, let's go to the back of this. So that was the front, and we used dynamic content to get all of that. Now let's look at the actual data. Well, here we go. Here's the title. Okay. Just like, the normal title. Description area. Here is photos that we've added, the gallery. That was our old gallery. Here are the GPS coordinates that you saw. Here's the link. I could actually click to go to that. So I have to put all this in here. Here are directions. That's showing on the front end. Here's the map. So in the advanced custom fields map, I chose that location, and then in the map module, you can show that on the front end. Here's the map pin. Here's my comments. Here's my rating using the advanced custom field star rating. Here's my wife's rating, and that's it. And then over on the side, I have it selected as the state of New York, road trip Ithaca, and then these highlights. Here's the featured image, and here's the category. Okay, so all of this is in the back end in the database, and now it's being displayed like this. Now I could go and add another place. Like just now, I could say, oh, there's another place we didn't add. And I can just add it, and all of these fields will be here. In fact, I could do that. I still want to show you the theme builder template. Let's say I say add new for places. All right, so I could call it whatever. Gettysburg Battlefield is right up the road for me. All right, I could add a description. Here I can click add my photos. Skip this one. This image is for the free version of advanced custom fields. We did a little trick to get that in. Here I could put in the GPS coordinates. I would go to Google Maps and find all that. Here I would type in fact, I could even type this in here. Gettysburg. I don't know what I would even pick here. One of these things. And then it pulls it up. That's it. And now on the front end, that map module is going to show that. I could give it a rating, like I'm going to give it maybe a 4-star. And I could give it a title, whatever. Oh, I'm doing Tasha's. Okay. Oh, and the excerpt, you could write an excerpt. The excerpt is what shows, where was I? Now I need to go back to, it doesn't really matter, but the excerpt is what's showing in the grid, in the blog module right here. That's the excerpt showing right there, okay? It's like a short description, okay? Where were we? Right here. Oh, and then as I'm done here, I would come over here and say, okay, this is in Pennsylvania. It's not really on a road trip. And I could say, okay, what are some things here? There's borders there. You could picnic there. There's some overlooks, walking. It is roadside. Okay, and then I could say, what is this? I would say it is a, believe it or not, it's a national park. So I'm gonna click that and then click publish. I don't really want to do that, but and I could go view all these data points on the front end in that template, which I should show you here, because that's important, right? Showing you the actual template. So I have a template for that page, which is called all places. Okay. So in your template assignment here, I mean, I could put this for anything, but all places refers to each of the individual places post types. Okay. So I would edit the body for that. Okay. And you'll see it looks very familiar once you're in here. It'll look like the individual place that I showed you, except it'll be temporary placeholder things. I think Zoom must slow down my computer because I never have this slow. I never do meetings either. Okay, here is just the design in Divi. What I was going to show you was the category. Believe it or not, showing the categories is just Divi. It's a very interesting little trick. Not really a trick, but post categories. When you add a text module, believe it or not, that's a text module. And if I click the icon right up here, see post categories. There you go. It's that simple. And then here, you can have them link, like when I click this waterfall right here, do I want that to go to the waterfall category? Yes, I do. So now I'm on waterfalls, and now any places that are in the waterfall category will appear here. Okay, so that was an option here. I could get rid of the separator if I don't want the separator. And then here's the category type. I could choose any of these. I could choose highlights. Any of those highlights that I picked will show here. So that is a built-in Divi dynamic content option for you to display the category. Here's the title. Very simple, like I showed you before. I literally have the HTML in there for making it an H1. That's a nice little trick. Here I have the description. You can see it's nothing showing here because it's all dynamic. Description, that's the custom field. It's linking to that custom field. Here it gets a little tricky because you're not seeing anything. Here's our quote. So it says Nelson's comment title, and then Nelson's comments, but notice that there's actually nothing in. Each one of these is dynamic. Here you can see the GPS directions loading. See how it has like a little loader. The map is not showing just because it's certain things like this. I don't know why they don't quite show the template. Part of it is because it's not using real data to make the template. It's using like placeholder data. So, all right, so one thing at a time. The best way to show you will be in wireframe. So right here are the things that we're not showing. They were not showing because we don't have placeholder elements in our taxonomy helper. What I did basically, I wanted to show, okay, so right here, highlights, like walking, waterfalls, creek, highlights about this place are actually these individual modules that are using the offset feature. The blog module has this too. Term offset number. The first one is not going to have any. So I'm showing one item. I'm showing places post type, taxonomy type highlights, and one item. Again, this is my plugin, the taxonomy helper, but it works good for showing an image. Like notice it has an image and a title, and I can click that. And I will go, if I click hiking, I'll go to view all the places that have hiking as a highlight. So that's those items. I have them in a carousel. And I guess that's also my plugin, the carousel maker. Wasn't going to have them in a carousel until I realized it was so many that it just worked better. The next thing is this little trick here I did to show like the state. That's also a taxonomy helper module. Road trips. Now here's an interesting thing. Remember when I was setting up the sample, I didn't choose a road trip. Like it wasn't relevant to a road trip. Here's where those conditions come in. So watch this. In my conditions, I think I have this in here. What did I click? There we go. Oh, I didn't do it, but I should do it. So if there is no road trip selected, then I don't want this to show. Actually, we built that into this plugin. If no taxonomies, hide module or display a message, we built that into this. But if you were using something else, in fact, I will show you the GPS coordinates down here. Actually, I should show you this. So my rating here, if I did not have this rating here, let me find that. Okay, Nelson and Nelson's comments. I think that's in the column advanced conditions. See, now we're really combining a lot of these things. So right here, my review of this place, if I hadn't got to it yet, maybe my wife posted the place, but I didn't go through and write my rating and my comment about that place yet, it won't show. It won't show my picture or my title, or it won't show anything. It will just hide the whole thing completely because this column is saying advanced field conditions. It's saying if only display if the manual custom field name called Nelson's comments is any value. See, I can change this. I could say is not, contains, has no value, is greater than, but if it's any value, in other words, if it's filled in at all, then display this column. Well, I already did fill it in, so it's displaying this column. I could, if I really wanted to, show you a place that doesn't have stuff filled in. In fact, this is probably one. All right, there's no image. There's just a few highlights selected. There's no description. Oh, look, there's no road trip, so that's hidden because you don't want it to be just say no road trip. You just hide it completely. Notice that neither me or Tasha have a review or rating. What I should do is hide this entire section with conditions. There's nothing here because it's just not filled in. So as you can see, this site is a work in progress. But anyway, using the conditions is pretty cool because I can make this template and not have to worry about placeholder text showing on the front end. So I can link up all my dynamic content to my custom field and then set up the conditions and I'm good to go. I have one template. This is one template and it works for, 100 different places. Yeah, it's just pretty cool. Same here with this. I think if I don't have directions in here, yes, only display on post types where getting there custom field is any value. So if I don't have any value in the back end, let me show you that. right here, if I don't have any value in here or here, these types of fields, nothing's going to show. It'll just hide that completely. Now, one more. We're almost done here. Nearby places is a bit of an unusual thing, I guess. You wouldn't probably use this very often, but what this is our custom blog module that is free. So you set the post type. I set it to places. See, here's like posts and pages, have it to places. And this little toggle here is on. Now, normally you would see these kind of options, but notice I have this option that says use nearest posts. All right, turn that on. Here I can set the nearest distance in miles. So anything with, I don't, even if there's a nearest place that's beyond 50 miles away, then I don't want to show it. I want only the nearest places within 50 miles. And then here, the advanced custom field, Google Map meta key, places map. That's what it's using. So we're literally going back, we're using our custom blog to look for that places map field. Wait, let me see if I can show you that. In my field group here. Let's see. Right here, map. Oops, I clicked the wrong one. So places map, right? That is this field name. So we're referencing that right here. And I'm saying choose the nearest. And so what I've done here, let me switch to wireframe. I have added 6 of the nearest places using the offset feature. So I'm showing one post and then offset of 0, and then one post, offset of 1. Next one is going to be one post, offset of 2, okay? And then, oh, where was I? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. I'll just go back to this one. Now on the front end, when I'm viewing this, Toggenburg Falls, nearby places are correct. These are definitely correct. These are the ones that are within 50 miles and also the 6 closest to that. So there was one other thing that people asked me about, and that is called relationships. And it's kind of dynamic also. So relationships are when it's the relationship between post types. So I have places post types here. What if I want to show a different post type on this post type? So let's say I have some blog posts on this site. Actually, we have a post type that's called adventures, and we didn't do anything with it yet, but what we're going to do is consider them like blog posts. We'll write about an actual trip. And then let me show you, because this is the last one, but it's a doozy. Again, advanced custom fields has this thing called relationships. And so I have made an adventures post type, and I have one example here. In this template for this adventure, notice I have a video, I have images. So this says this is a specific trip. It was in June of 2021. So we would write it almost like a blog post, right? We would write it, put our video in about that trip, photos of that trip. Now, what if I want to show you places that are associated with this trip? So like on this trip, maybe we went to 5 places. Okay. What you could do, and I'll go to the back end of it. And here it is, associated places. And I could come here. I have this fit. Let me show you the field. It is, oh, that's in my other field group, my adventures field group. I have associated places, and what it is, it's called post object. So in advanced custom fields, post object might only be on the pro one, I'm not sure. So I have it set to show places and then multiple. So what I can do now when I'm on this actual place, I can type in the name of a place. In fact, here, notice this one is camping at Little Pine State Park. So most likely one of the places is going to be Little Pine State Park. Okay, so I select that. Maybe there's this other place we went to, or maybe there's this place that we went to, or maybe there's another place. Okay, all right. So let's say we went to these 4 places on our trip. Here's our photos. Here's our video. See our video link. All we did was put the link in here. That's it. And now we're seeing the featured image, description, the video, the gallery, and these related places that I just selected. This is a blog module, actually our custom blog module. And it's all dynamic. So I don't have to ever worry about this showing me the wrong places. It's not going to show me the wrong places. It's only going to show me the ones that I selected in the database on this post. So that is pretty much it. Now I have obviously these other taxonomies. So like I showed you states, you could view by road trip, and you can view by category highlights. And then there's just a list of all the places. Whew. Okay, so that's a lot of things I talked about. So I'm done. I've done enough talking. Maybe you just want to talk about use cases or any questions or
Yeah, I think you did an amazing job starting from the basics all the way to the I want to say craziness, but it's amazing to me. What I find with dynamic content is first you have to think of the idea and then execute it. And so how you are using it in this use case is quite impressive to me. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. But I will open it up to anyone if you have questions about what he spoke about today. If anyone wants to unmute, or feel free if you want to put anything in the chat, we can open it up to questions for 2 minutes.
I had a quick question on and a great presentation, Nelson. That was awesome.
Thanks.
On the post objects, like, can you just try and explain that a little bit more? Like, I couldn't get, what makes them dynamic versus just picking out other posts that you want to include with that.
Okay. Yes, that was definitely that's my most recent thing that I've added to that blog module that's free, our custom blog module, and to this site. So I am not an expert on relationships for post types, but I'm actually fairly new to it. Someone was asking me about it. And when they were asking me about it, I was like, man, I could use that. Like, I want to use that. And so I tried to do it somehow. I tried to put like a blog module, and I was trying to think, how would I show, like, just think about it. How are you going to show different post type on a different post type? How can I explain this?
Because they're the same post type, right? They're both.
Well, it's actually not. It's a different post type. I have a post type that's adventures, and I have a post type that's places.
Got it.
So think of adventures as like a journal or a blog or like that kind of thing, memoirs, or like it's like a story, but then I want to show which places are in that story. Yeah, and so I was really trying to figure out how I'm going to do that, and I came across here. Let me just show you. Like, when I choose field type, and again, this may just be in the pro version of ACF, but one of the things is relationship and post object. They're very similar. But post object, oh, man, what? See, I don't know. I'm not an expert on post object. All I know is that I can say filter by post type. So I only want places to show in my other posts, and then I could even filter it down more. And I want to select multiple, and that's all I did there. And then inside my, let's go to the back end. So I added the field, that's the field, the post object field. And then in here, it's really as simple as when I start typing here, I see a list of any places because I selected places to only be the option here.
Right.
I'm not explaining that well.
I think I get it. I've run into something like this where I'm building websites for law firms. And so I'll have, like a certain type of law and then lawyers that do that. And the lawyers are a post type. And then the different types of law are a post type. And I've been trying to do it with relationship, but it's been tricky. I think this might be better.
So there's one point to remember. You're not showing, like it's one thing to show the category, but it's a whole nother thing to show a completely different post. And I think that, I think that's the key to distinguishing it, because if you're like, we can go into your blog post, and like I showed you with even the built-in Divi dynamic content, you can show the post categories.
Yeah.
And so you could be looking at your lawyer page and show the categories of law practice, and they'll just show up because that post is in that category. This is showing a completely different post within a different post type.
Different post type.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
And I do need to learn more about that, because I think there's more people that could utilize that, and we just don't know enough about it. I need to look into that even more.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Quick
you, Sean.
question. One of the things that strikes me is that being a Divi user, Elementor user, and a Beaver Builder user, I find that their treatment of dynamic data is either slightly different or sufficiently different that, in effect, I have to choose among them how I want to do the dynamic data, and then that determines which of the page builders I use, based on how they'll handle dynamic data. Do you find that a situation, or are you just all using Divi exclusively and not using any other page builder?
I only use Divi, so I can't. Someone else will have to chime in on that.
Yeah, I'm only a Divi user as well, but I do know there are many web designers who, based on the scope of the project and exactly what the functionality is, that would be how they determine whether they, like you said, whether they're using Divi or a different page builder. So, yeah. Any other questions here?
Last question. Have you seen for Divi AI extensions that enhance what you can do within the Divi builder and so forth? I've seen, I use, as I say, I use Elementor and Beaver Builder and as well as Divi, and it appears that, and also I must admit I'm using Gutenberg Builder now more often. And of the 4 builders, it looks like Elementor has staked out a huge lead in terms of using AI in all of its modules and all of its components. Any reaction? Have people seen anything in Divi that takes advantage of AI in a very positive way?
Yeah, Nick Roach just posted probably last week sneak peek AI like writer for code, text, and images. He is coming to Divi within weeks, I think. I think he said within a month. As far as that goes, I personally am bored to death with that stuff. I'm thinking beyond that. I'm actually working on 2 plugins that are related to this topic, and I really can't say much. They're related to AI and dynamic content in a way, and actually in a way of the definition that Susie wrote and read. I think she talked something about user preferences and I'm thinking of like how users interact with a website. So I have some ideas for that. It's funny because when you think of AI, you usually think of like writers, and it's like so much more you can do with it beyond just writing or beyond generating content, I should say. But I don't know what Elementor would have besides. I mean, I'm sure they have like an AI writer. I'm sure I mean, you could have that in your Chrome extension. Like in my opinion, it's like, does it matter like who puts it in? Like, I don't know. Like MailChimp has to have it in their email writer, or like, does everyone really have to have it? Like, I feel like if you were like a Chrome extension creator, you'd be better off using the same writer for every different tool rather than learning a different AI interface for every different tool. And we don't want to get into that, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, anyway.
That's great. I was gonna say too is, like you mentioned, Nick did have a blog post recently. So anytime anyone is interested on what's happening with Divi, I think they're great at putting out their announcements and saying what's coming, especially with is it Divi 5.0 that's coming out. So if you guys want to stay in the loop, you can always subscribe to their newsletter. I know Nelson has a newsletter, which is very helpful and talks about different plugins or freebies that he has coming up, or lots of tutorials. As you saw today, lots of freebies and how-to videos, which are super helpful. So be sure to check that out too, because there is so much to know when it comes to Divi and how it pairs well with other plugins like ACF Advanced Custom Fields, again, to take your Divi website to the next level. So definitely want to give a huge shout out. Thank you so much, Nelson, for your time. I know you said this is out of your comfort zone, but the way you explain things, I felt was very understandable and easy to follow. So I really do appreciate your time this evening. And I don't want to keep everyone too long, but if I could ask Nelson for you to stop sharing your screen just for a moment,
Okay.
just so I can do a quick photo.
I don't even know what I'm doing here. Okay, stop share.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I'm just going to do, for anyone who is on the call who would like to be on camera for a quick snapshot, you are welcome to turn your camera back on, and we'll do a quick photo for the Elegant Themes. I know they do like to put something out in their blog about our Divi meetups. So I'm going to do a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and everybody give me your big smiley teeth. So 3, 2, 1, smile. Thank you, everybody. Let me just make sure that worked and we are good. And I will let you guys head out early. The one thing that I would ask though is if you have any comments, or if there's anything that we talked about today that you want to do a deeper dive into, because we did kind of skim, right, which is an overview. If there is some topic that you want to dive into, please let me know, because I am looking for future topic ideas. Otherwise, I do hope you guys have an amazing evening, and I'll go ahead and stop the share, or stop